Hey guys, kinggath here with another patch for Sim Settlements. This is patch 4.1.4, which I'm calling Liberation Immersification. So I've been promising this patch for quite a while, and that is a patch to focus on the Liberator factions and fix a lot of the random little issues with them. In particular, there were a lot of issues with immersion. There were things that just felt wrong when you were trying to effectively play a good guy, and that's because we built all of the Conqueror framework on top of some of the ideas behind Nuka World, which obviously has its issues, and that it's based on you being a raider. So in order to fix some of those issues, we had to do a lot of random things. And on top of tackling some of those things, some of those immersive issues we'll talk about in a minute, we also ended up going and doing a whole lot of other things that you guys have been requesting in the community for quite some time, or some things that I felt like we really needed to do. So we got a lot to cover here, but let's start with the Liberator stuff, or the name of the patch notes. So some of the things that we fixed in this, one, we set it up so that the NPCs will no longer refer to you like a raider. You're not going to be wandering around if you're a Liberator faction, say you're playing the Minutemen, where the NPCs will randomly occasionally call you a raider or basically smack talk you in some way where it seems like you're a bad guy. So that's been fixed. I know that was a big one that was bothering people. More importantly, we fixed the issue with settlers not being bound correctly, or during the middle of combat, during a Liberator assault, the bound settlers would turn on you. Obviously, that was super immersion breaking, as those are the people you came to rescue. So that should be resolved now. We've also changed the gunners so that they are correctly flagged as a Conqueror faction, which means, because for most people they tend to just act like a bad guy, so that's how we went with that for their default. If you have the Gunners faction pack installed, if they have a version of that that's Liberator, which I believe they do, that will override that. But for our baseline version that most of you have available, as far as for an enemy, it will be a Conqueror. And the reason that that matters is because then your settlers won't, or the settlers in the Gunner faction settlements that you're attacking, they won't be wandering around. They'll actually be bound as you'd expect them to. And that leads to the last big important change with the Liberator side, is that the Liberators will now tend not to fight other Liberators. So if you have a bunch of faction packs installed to add variety into your assault and defense mixes so that you would get different factions showing up, you might have found that if you were playing a guy, it was very awkward that you would be just as likely to fight, say, the Minutemen as you were to fight Raiders or the Gunners, and that probably felt very unimmersive, and so that has been resolved. So unless a Liberator faction explicitly declares another Liberator faction as an enemy of theirs, they will be considered to be at least neutral with each other, so they won't show up in the attack pool. So all those changes and more, if you guys want to check out the patch notes, there are a ton of things to read in the patch notes, so if you want to know everything that has changed, go check that out. So now let's talk about some of the other stuff that we needed to do. So there were three big things that I've been wanting to tackle, and I completed one, started another, and a third is in kind of a beta state. So the first one that I completed is something for you guys on Xbox, and that is the Framework Edition is finally here. So if you're playing Conqueror, you're not interested in going through the Raider storyline, that is definitely where the bulk of the file size comes from for you guys. So I've made an Xbox exclusive Framework only edition of Conqueror, and this basically guts everything to do with Jammer's questline and just leaves the code and the new plot buildings in place so that you can play with a faction pack if you'd like, and you can then engage in the Conqueror mechanics without having to go through the quest line. So if you're playing one of these Liberator factions, you have no interest in playing the bad guy, you're on Xbox, you're stuck for space, you're stuck on space. The Framework Edition is, so I believe it's about 60 megabytes, and just like the light version of Sim Settlements, it will still continue to grow, but it will always grow substantially slower than the core of Conqueror, because the core of Conqueror has all of our quest content in it as well. So if you're not looking to play through the quest line and you need to save some space on Xbox, you now have the option. The second thing that, and this is the one that I started, and it is released, it's an optional download you can grab. It is available on Xbox and PC for Xbox players. This is in the work in progress section, and the reason I did this is because I don't want to confuse new people who are coming to the mod. There's already a million files to search up for, but the thing that this is a Nuka World patch, and so this is going to be where I put everything that fixes weird, either not necessarily incompatibilities, but just oddities and quirks and things like that, because in general, Nuka World works pretty well with Conqueror, but there are some things that acted a little oddly. For example, as soon as you started conquering things in the Commonwealth, you would get the pop-up messages about them donating to Nuka World before you'd even been to Nuka World, which doesn't make any sense. And so this patch addresses that. In the future, I will have this patch address other things that would have required Nuka World. So this has to be a patch, has to be separate, because it does require making Nuka World a parent to that particular mod, and I didn't want to do that to Conqueror itself. So if you have Nuka World installed and you want a little bit better experience with Conqueror, go ahead and grab that Nuka World patch. It's on the optional files tab on Nexus. For those of you on Bethesda.net through Xbox, you're going to want to go find it on the work in progress page. You go into your Bethesda.net the website, and you actually find the mod there. I will have it linked below. You favorite it, and then when you go into your Xbox, you'll be able to easily find it, so you can download that patch. All right, and then the third thing that I've got is Pra and I, and Pra is a add-on pack author. He's actually just a mod author. He does so many mods, it's crazy. Has been working with me to develop a new system for improving the performance of city plans. So we've got a new script we're calling the compactor, and it basically takes the city plans and compresses them down so they take up less script data and they build faster. So in order to get this going, we need to do a lot of testing, because there's a lot of potential for bad things to happen with this script and the way we did it. So what I've done is I've taken a handful of the complex city plans from Rise of the Commonwealth, and I've run this compactor script on them, and I've put them up as an optional file. It's tagged as compacted city plan beta. If you want to help test this, I would love to get feedback. Basically, you just download those compacted city plans, run them on the corresponding settlements, and then use the cheat codes to level them up, which if you don't know those cheat codes, head to the simsettlements.com forums, which is where you'd want to go report any issues you found anyway, and people there can help you with those codes to do that. And basically, we're looking to just power level those out and look for any crashes or texture issues or just weird things that didn't go to plan. But so far in our testing with the compacting is when we do this to the full Sim Settlements ROTC city plans and we run the Conqueror pre-build, we can do stage 1 in under 8 minutes with all 35 of those ROTC builds, or 34, however many we have, which is insane. That's just so fast with this compacting, and it cuts the script data usage down by about a third. So for any of you guys who are running into issues with that, this is going to be a huge game changer for Sim Settlements if we can get this thing working. So I need your guys' help to test this, because it's just going to require a lot of reporting and testing, and we'll keep adding more of those complex city plans, and then eventually we will do this full bore. We'll release it across Sim Settlements at the core. We'll do it on the City Plan Contest Entries mod. We'll do it all over the place. We'll pass out this script to City Plan authors like Yagi-san so they can do it to theirs. But first we need to make sure we kick the tires and look for bugs so that we don't break everybody's save file. So if you guys want to help out with that and see Sim Settlements improve in a big bad way, please do so. And speaking of the City Plan Contest, we are now about midway through the Masters Contest. There's been a lot of people posting on the forum, so if you're interested in checking out what people are doing with the Masters Contest and building Spectacle Island, head to the simsettlements.com forum. There's a City Plan Contest section where you can check out what some people are working on. And the next season of the City Plan Contest will be starting on the 28th, so stay tuned for that if you weren't invited to the Masters, and you can join us to build more awesome city plans. All right, and one more thing, I wanted to get in a little closer to show you guys this, but you'll see that some of my settlers are glowing red through walls, and that is because the one flashy thing we did this patch is we added the little detect life type thing on the ASAM vision so that you can more easily find settlers. As you get closer to them, you'll be able to start seeing them through walls, and this does work with the unemployed vision, with the upgradable and power visions on plots, so that you'll see those little particles flowing around those plots when you use that. So hopefully that'll make ASAM vision a little bit more useful. All right, guys, take care and enjoy the mods.